All right, let's dive deep into ancient Greece today, into the world of Homer's Iliad. You know, that epic poem about the Trojan War?
It's not just any war story. The Iliad is, well, it's considered a foundational work of Western literature. It's packed with drama, gods, heroes, and battles that have just echoed through centuries.
Legendary stuff, for sure. Before we get into the thick of it, can you set the scene? I mean, what exactly is the Iliad about?
It zeroes in on a very specific period, actually, during the Trojan War, the final weeks of this decade-long conflict, between the Greeks and the Trojans.
That's not the whole story.
It's not the whole story of the Trojan War, just a slice. But what a slice.
Right, it jumps right in, right? We're already in the middle of this epic clash in the opening. It's pretty intense. We meet this raging hero, Achilles. He's at odds with, well, the leader of the Greek forces, Agamemnon.
Yeah, exactly. And this conflict, it's not just a personal squabble. It's all about this concept of time, really central to the ancient Greek world.
Tume, that's honor, right?
Right, exactly.
So what did Agamemnon do to wound Achilles' honor so deeply?
Well, it all starts with a captured woman, Chryseis, the daughter of a priest of Apollo. And when the priest begs for her return, offers a ransom,
Yeah.
Agamemnon just arrogantly refuses.
Talk about adding insult to injury. And I bet that doesn't go over well with a god like Apollo.
Right. Not at all. Apollo, he's outraged. He's outraged by the disrespect to his priest and he unleashes a plague upon the Greek army.
Oh, wow. So now the Greeks are dealing with a war and a plague. Things are going from bad to worse.
Absolutely. And it's here that Achilles steps in. He's trying to figure out how to stop this plague, save his comrades. He calls a meeting and confronts Agamemnon, demands he return Chryseis, to appease Apollo.
So does Agamemnon give in?
He does, but not without kind of a power play of his own. To compensate for his perceived loss, he seizes Briseis, a woman who is under Achilles' protection.
Whoa, that's a huge escalation. Taking someone's war pride, that's like the ultimate insult, especially for a warrior like Achilles.
Precisely. It cuts right to the core of Achilles' Times, his sense of worth and honor. He feels utterly betrayed, dishonored, and his reaction is swift, dramatic.
He doesn't just get angry, does he?
No. His response, it shakes the entire course of the war. Enraged, humiliated, Achilles withdraws from the fighting. He takes his loyal Myrmidon warriors with him.
So the Greeks are now without their greatest warrior. All because of this clash of egos and a serious breach of honor.
Right, and the consequences are immediate, you see. The Trojans, they sense this weakness in the Greek ranks, and they gain the upper hand on the battlefield.
This is where it gets really interesting, I think. Achilles, feeling this sting of betrayal, he decides to take his plea for justice to a higher power. Calls upon his mother, Thetis.
Ah, yes, Thetis, powerful figure, a sea nymph, and, well, she has strong connections to the Olympian gods, especially Zeus, the king of the gods.
No, Achilles is basically asking his mom to pull some strings with the big guy. What does Thetis do?
She hears her son's pleas, takes his grievances straight to Mount Olympus, driven by a mother's love and a sense of justice, implores Zeus to intervene on Achilles' behalf.
And how does Zeus respond? I mean, this is a request from a goddess.
Yeah.
Not just some mortal, right?
Yeah, Zeus, he's bound by his own sense of obligation and maybe a bit of sympathy for Achilles' plight, and he agrees to Thetis' request. He promises to favor the Trojans in battle until Achilles' honor is restored.
Okay, so now we have the gods meddling in human affairs. Talk about high stakes. What does Zeus do to fulfill his promise to Thetis? I mean, how do you make one side of a war suddenly, more successful?
Well, Zeus, he decides to play a bit of a mind game. He sends this deceptive dream to Agamemnon, urging him to launch a full-scale attack on Troy, knowing that the Greeks are weakened without Achilles.
Oh, wow, that's devious.
Yeah.
So Agamemnon, emboldened by what he believes to be a divine sign, leads his army into battle, practically guaranteeing defeat. Talk about playing with fate.
It really highlights this complex relationship, between gods and mortals in the Iliad. The gods, they have their own agendas, their own motivations, but their actions often have profound consequences for the humans, the humans who are caught in the crossfire.
And this is just the beginning. We've got a war, a plague, a furious hero, and meddling gods. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Well, the battlefield, it's about to become a stage for some legendary clashes, duels that showcase, the strength, skill, and flaws of both heroes and gods.
Okay, I'm ready for some epic action. Tell me more about these heroes and gods going head-to-head.
We'll delve into those captivating duels next. We'll see Diomedes, a Greek warrior of incredible prowess, facing off against not only Trojans, but even the gods themselves.
He fights the gods. Okay, now I really want to hear more.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait until the next part of our deep dive. This is already getting epic. So last time we left the Greeks facing some pretty serious setbacks, thanks in part to Zeus's little intervention. The tide seems to have turned in favor of the Trojans.
Yes, definitely. The absence of Achilles has really emboldened them. The Trojans are pushing the Greeks, well, they're pushing them back towards their ships. It's a pretty desperate situation.
But we know Achilles isn't just sitting on the sidelines forever, right? I mean, his fury is simmering, and we know it's gonna boil over at some point. But before we get to that, I'm dying to hear about those epic duels you mentioned, especially Diomedes taking on the gods.
Right. Diomedes is, well, he's a force to be reckoned with in this part of the Iliad. He's filled with this divine fury, almost like a god himself. And he cuts through the Trojan ranks, even wounding Aphrodite.
Wait, he wounds Aphrodite? The goddess of love?
The goddess of love, yes.
That's incredible. How do you even fight a god?
Well, it's a testament to his extraordinary strength and skill, of course, but and also to the way the gods can be vulnerable when they get directly involved in human affairs,
Yep.
It's a reminder that even the divine aren't entirely untouchable.
So Diomedes is like a one-man army for the Greeks. But what about the Trojans? They've got their own heroes, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the most prominent, well, it's Hector, the Prince of Troy. He's everything you'd expect in a heroic figure.
Yep.
Courageous, skilled in battle, and, well, deeply loyal to his city, his people.
So it seems like Hector and Achilles are almost like mirror images, right? Both fierce warriors, but fighting on opposite sides. Do they ever face off directly?
Not yet, but their paths are, well, they're definitely on a collision course. And there's another key duel, actually, that happens before that fateful encounter, Hector versus Ajax.
Oh, tell me more about this clash of titans.
Well, he's another formidable Greek warrior known for his massive strength and just, unwavering courage. And when Hector challenges the Greeks to single combat, well, Ajax steps forward.
I bet this is a battle for the ages. Who wins?
It's an incredibly close fight. A true test of strength, endurance. They exchange blows, their shields clashing, neither one giving an inch. But as the sun begins to set, they call a truce, acknowledging each other's valor.
Sounds like a draw. It's testament to the strength of both heroes. But even with these displays of bravery, the Greeks are still struggling without Achilles. How long can he stay out of the fight? Surely the plight of his comrades must be weighing on him.
It is, and that inner conflict it's a key part of Achilles' character. He's torn between his personal rage and his sense of responsibility to his fellow Greeks. And this is where Patroclus comes in.
Patroclus, Achilles' closest companion. What role does he play in all this drama?
Well, Patroclus is, he's deeply affected by the suffering of the Greeks. He can't bear to see them pushed back, their ships burning, their morale shattered. So he approaches Achilles with this desperate plea.
He wants Achilles to return to battle.
He does. But knowing Achilles' stubbornness, he proposes a compromise. Patroclus asks to wear Achilles' armor and lead the Myrmidons into battle himself.
Wow, that's a huge ask. I mean, stepping into the shoes of the greatest warrior, wearing his armor, leading his men, that takes courage.
It does. Patroclus, he hopes that by appearing as Achilles, he can frighten the Trojans and rally the Greeks.
So Achilles agrees to this risky plan.
He does, but with a heavy heart and a grave warning. He tells Patroclus to drive the Trojans back from the ships, but not to pursue them further, not to risk his life.
That sounds like foreshadowing to me. You know something tragic is going to happen.
Indeed. Patroclus, filled with this righteous fury, he leads the Myrmidons into battle, and he successfully pushes the Trojans back. But overcome by the heat of the moment, he ignores Achilles' warning.
So he gets caught up in the battle, and he goes too far.
He does, driven by this desire to achieve a decisive victory. And it proves to be a fatal mistake. He pursues the Trojans all the way to the walls of Troy.
And that's where fate steps in. That's where he encounters Hector.
Exactly. And this encounter, well, it changes everything.
I'm on the edge of my seat. Tell me what happens next.
Well, we'll delve into that pivotal encounter in the next part of our deep dive.
This is already so intense. I can't wait to hear what happens next. this clash between Patroclus and Hector, I have a feeling it's going to have some major repercussions. Okay, so last time, Patroclus was charging into battle, wearing Achilles' armor and pushing the Trojans back to their city walls. And of course, he ignored Achilles' warning. That can't be good.
No, it isn't good at all. It's at the gates of Troy that Patroclus encounters Hector, the Trojan prince.
And Hector, he doesn't realize it's not actually Achilles he's facing.
Not at first, no. He sees the gleaming armor, the fierce onslaught of the Myrmidons, and assumes it's, his greatest rival returned to battle.
A clash of heroes fueled by mistaken identity and a thirst for glory. Who strikes the first blow?
Well, they engage in this furious duel, each warrior pushing the other to their limits. But the gods, as always, they play a role in the outcome. Apollo, favoring the Trojans, intervenes. He strikes Patroclus, dislodging his helmet.
Oh, no. So now Hector realizes he's not fighting Achilles.
Exactly. He sees the face of Patroclus, a warrior he respects, and there's this moment of hesitation, a flicker of recognition.
But it's too late, right? The battle frenzy has taken over.
It has. And in that moment of vulnerability, Hector strikes a fatal blow, killing Patroclus.
This is such a turning point, I think, in the Iliad. Achilles, learning of his friend's death, he's consumed by grief, rage. This rage even more intense than before.
Yeah, it's a truly transformative moment for Achilles. The loss of Patroclus, it just unleashes this primal fury, a thirst for vengeance that will drive him to commit acts of both incredible heroism and shocking brutality.
This is where we see Achilles at his most fearsome, right? The warrior unleashed, no longer holding back.
Absolutely. He returns to the battlefield clad in this new armor, forged by Hephaestus, the god of the forge, at the request of his grieving mother, Thetis.
Wait, the gods are even involved in equipping Achilles for his rampage. That's pretty intense.
It is. And the armor, especially the shield, it's a masterpiece. Depicting these scenes of peace and war, life and death, it's almost a microcosm of the world itself.
It's such a powerful image, Achilles armed by the gods, ready to unleash his fury. What happens when he rejoins the battle?
Oh, it's just a whirlwind of carnage. Achilles cuts through the Trojan ranks, driven by this grief-fueled rage that knows no bounds. He's so powerful, so unstoppable, that even the river god's commander, he tries to intervene, fearing for the fate of his waters, choked with the bodies of slain Trojans.
He fights a river god. That's insane.
It really highlights the sheer scale of Achilles' rage, the way it disrupts the natural order. It takes the intervention of another god, Hephaestus, to drive back the river and allow Achilles to continue his rampage.
I imagine through all of this, Hector knows what's coming. He knows Achilles is after him, seeking revenge for Patroclus.
He does, and when that inevitable confrontation occurs, Hector, he doesn't flee. He stands his ground, even knowing he's likely outmatched. There's this sense of tragic inevitability to their encounter.
So they finally face each other, the two greatest warriors of their age, destined to clash in this battle that will determine the fate of Troy.
And it's a brutal fight, filled with tension and desperation. Hector, hoping for a miracle, tries to reason with Achilles. But the Greek hero, he's beyond reason. He's consumed by his desire for vengeance.
Do the gods, do they interfere in this final showdown? I mean, they've been meddling throughout the war.
You do. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, she intervenes, tricking Hector, leading him to his doom.
So even in this moment of epic confrontation fate, it still seems to play a role.
It does. Achilles, aided by Athena's deception, kills Hector, avenging Patroclus. But his actions after the victory, well, they're far from heroic.
What does he do?
He defiles Hector's body, stripping him of his armor and dragging his corpse behind his chariot around the walls of Troy. It's a shocking act of desecration, meant to humiliate the Trojans and their fallen hero.
That's brutal. Even for the standards of ancient warfare, it seems like Achilles' rage has twisted him, turning him into something almost monstrous.
It is. It's a reminder that the line between hero and villain can be so blurred, especially in the heat of battle. But the Iliad, it doesn't end on this note of vengeful fury. It takes this unexpected turn towards compassion and reconciliation.
This is the part with Priam, right? Hector's father, the king of Troy. He goes to Achilles' camp to beg for his son's body.
He does, risking his life to enter the enemy camp, driven by a father's love and a desire to grant his son a proper burial.
That's an incredible act of courage. What happens when Priam meets Achilles?
Oh, it's a powerful scene, full of raw emotion. Priam, he kneels before Achilles, the killer of his son, and kisses his hands, pleading for Hector's body. He appeals to Achilles' humanity, reminding him of his own father.
So Achilles, this warrior fueled by rage, he's confronted with the grief of his enemy, the pain of a father who has lost his son.
And in that moment, something shifts within Achilles. He sees Priam not as this conquered foe, but as a fellow human being, united by their shared experience of loss and grief. He's reminded of his own mortality, his own vulnerability.
And he relents. He gives Hector's body back to Priam.
He does. It's a stunning act of compassion, a recognition of their shared humanity. Achilles, he grants the Trojans 12 days of truce to mourn Hector and conduct a proper funeral.
So the Iliad, this epic tale of war and vengeance, it ends not with a triumphant victory, but with an act of mercy, a moment of shared grief between enemies.
It's a powerful reminder that even in the midst of conflict, even in the face of unimaginable loss, there's always the possibility for empathy, for understanding, for a glimmer of humanity to shine through.
The Iliad, it's full of so many layers, so much complexity. It's a story that stays with you long after you've finished reading it.
It certainly does. And for you, listener, as you reflect on this deep dive into Homer's epic, consider this. What does the Iliad have to say to us today in a world that's still grappling with conflict, violence, and the search for meaning? What resonates with you most?
It's a question worth pondering. The Iliad it's more than just an ancient war story. It's a reflection on the human condition, on the enduring themes of love, loss, rage, and compassion. Things that continue to resonate across time and cultures.